Title bullies messed with the new black girl. Big mistake. 1 minute later, they were begging for forgiveness, to treat me like I was nothing, as if the color of my skin shrouded my worth in shadow. Zara Williams, the new black girl at Lincoln Academy, stood at the threshold of a world suffused with privilege, where the laughter of the elite echoed off gilded walls. Little did they know, she was a quiet storm ready to reshape their perception. Promotes with the taunts, Tyler, with his arrogant smirk, delighted in belittling her as she walked down the pristine hallway. "What's a poor girl like you doing here?" he sneered, fueling the laughter of Jake and Brandon. The crowd stood still, a collective breath held, unsure whether to join the mockery or defend the new girl. Yet Zara, unfazed, merely raised an eyebrow, her calmness disarming their aggression and planting the seeds of curiosity about her hidden strengths. As days turned into relentless harassment, vandalized lockers and whispered insults, Zara's resolve solidified. Instead of bowing to their cruelty, she meticulously documented each incident, wielding her intelligence like a weapon. Behind her composed exterior lay the heart of a martial artist, trained to strike back when necessary. Then came the turning point. Professor Thompson, a keen observer of character, uncovered her secret. He organized a martial arts demonstration, and Zara saw her chance, not just to reclaim her power, but to expose the truth. As she prepared, the boys continued to bask in their misguided superiority, unaware of the storm brewing within her. On demonstration day, the gym buzzed with anticipation. When Zara stepped onto the mat, the air crackled with tension. With poise, she delivered her evidence, unveiling the bullying and racism that had plagued her. Gasps echoed through the gym, particularly from the trio whose faces turned to horror. As consequences unfurled, the wheels of justice turned swiftly. Tyler, Jake, and Brandon faced disciplinary actions and had to confront not only their behavior, but also the lives they had ruined. While they stumbled through embarrassment, Zara emerged transformed, respected and resolute, committed to fostering inclusivity in her now shared space. Kissing in the end, I learned that justice is far sweeter than revenge. My journey taught me the importance of standing tall in the face of adversity, inspiring others to find their own strength. Bullies may think they have the upper hand, but like a phoenix, I rose, igniting a new fire in the hearts of those willing to stand against injustice. Bullies messed with the new black girl. Big mistake. 1 minute later, they were begging for forgiveness. Zara Williams walked through the hallowed halls of Lincoln Academy, her breath steady despite the whispers slicing through the air. "Look at the new girl. She thinks she belongs here," Tyler sneered, his crew of snickering sidekicks trailing behind him. The auditorium doors loomed ahead, but in that moment, a hush fell over the crowd. Eyes slid toward her, a mixture of intrigue and malice swirling around. "Just ignore them," Zara murmured to herself, palms clenched. But how could she, when every whisper echoed like a bombshell? Days turned into a relentless barrage of slurs and threats. "Zara, isn't your hair from the clearance bin?" Jake mocked one afternoon, shoving his shoulder against hers. Laughter erupted as Brandon shouted, "Are you trying to be inspiring? You're just pathetic." Hollowness engulfed the crowd. Their complicity hung heavy between them, a shared secret of disdain. Yet Zara remained composed, jotting down every cruel remark. Her strategy was invisible, but her resolve shimmered like steel. "Give me one reason not to deck you," Zara snapped one day, startling the trio. "Because I could, you know." Their laughter faltered, recognition creeping in of the iron will beneath her quiet facade. Then came Professor Thompson, noticing the fire in her eyes. "I know about your martial arts training. What if we put on a demonstration?" Familiarity's determination crystallized. Sweat beaded her brow as she sparred day after day, preparing to flip the script on her tormentors. The day of justice arrived, and as Zara stepped onto the mat, the hushed crowd felt her presence. "This ends now," she declared, holding up her evidence like trophies of battle. Gasps rippled as she unveiled their words and actions. Tyler's face turned the color of ash. "You can't prove anything," he stammered, but the truth loomed larger than their egos could withstand. As the school reacted, retribution sparked a fire in their eyes. "What have we done?" they whispered. Chaos erupting, their parents shocked by the fallout. Zara transformed from the bullied to the beacon of strength, her legacy woven into the academy's very fabric. "We stand together, not apart," she preached, ensuring the halls knew her power, an echo of justice that would be remembered. Title: Bullies messed with the new black girl. Big mistake. 1 minute later, they were begging for forgiveness. The hall echoed with laughter, but Zara stood at the fringes, the new girl cloaked in what felt like a storm of disdain. Tyler, Jake, and Brandon, the untouchable trio, exchanged smirks as they swung into action. "Look, it's the charity case," Tyler jeered, his words slicing through the din like a knife. Whispered gasps from classmates melted into the walls, and Zara felt their eyes, a blend of pity and discomfort. Each taunt chipped away at the silent resolve she wore like armor, a stark contrast to the screams inside her head. Days turned into a cycle of relentless harassment, the boys drawing courage from their privilege while Zara documented every brutal jab, each sneer woven into a tapestry of evidence. She had danced around darkness before, flexible and poised. With martial arts instilled in her since childhood, she saw every bruise as a lesson, every insult only sharpened her focus. Professor Thompson, recognizing her past, urged her to take center stage for an upcoming demonstration. Zara didn't just plan to showcase her skills. She prepared to expose the truth. With every grueling practice, her spirit grew. The day arrived and the auditorium buzzed with tension. Families watched. Friends murmured, eyes darting to the front. Zara stepped onto the mat, heart pounding, but steadied by a fire ignited deep within. Get powerful techniques that radiated strength, but it was her voice that captivated the room. "This is not just about martial arts," she proclaimed, unveiling the boys' treachery, her evidence filled with their ignorance and cruelty. Gasps followed and shock rippled through the audience. As the boys crumpled under the scrutiny, pleading for sympathy laced with desperation, Zara felt a shift. No more shadows. In their moment of weakness, she stood taller, her defiance a vibrant banner against their allegations. Bullies messed with the new black girl. Big mistake. 1 minute later, they were begging for forgiveness. This Bullies martial arts demonstration was her stage, and today, she wasn't just a spectator. She had prepared meticulously, every bruise earned during her training a badge of honor against the backdrop of the taunts and sneers that had plagued her since her arrival. "Think you can do better, Williams?" Tyler sneered from the sidelines, tossing a glance at his friends. The laughter echoed, but today, it felt distant to Zara. "Just watch," she replied softly, but her voice carried through the gym, an unanticipated surge of confidence underlying her quiet tone. As she moved through the forms, the rhythm of her punches and kicks gained the crowd's attention. The preceding days of bullying flashed before her eyes, but now they morphed into fuel, powering her every strike. She finally felt the tide shift. With a final, fierce kick, she pivoted to face the crowd. "You want proof?" She produced her folder, filled with the documented bullying incidents, the audience growing silent in shock. "This is not just about me. It's about standing up to the hate that poisons our school." Gasps rippled through the crowd, eyes widening as the evidence unfolded. The smug expressions of the boys faltered. Zara's adeptness and poise had unseated their arrogance, and for the first time, they were on the defensive. Tyler shifted uncomfortably, the bravado diminishing. "We were just messing around, right guys?" "Start owning your actions," Zara replied, her voice steady and firm. "It's time for accountability." By the time the demonstration ended, whispers of admiration replaced the ridicule. Zara had carved her space among them, and as the bell rang, she left the gym with her head held high, the weight of her past lifting. Today was just the beginning. She could feel it, a comeback woven through the threads of pain, turning her into a force, an unapologetic warrior. Title: Bullies messed with the new black girl. Big mistake. 1 minute later, they were begging for forgiveness. Confrontation: Zara stepped onto the mat, the gym filled with a hushed energy. Bright lights illuminated her as tension hung thickly in the air, swallowing the whispers and laughter that had once surrounded her. She'd been the target of ridicule for weeks. Tyler, Jake, and Brandon, lords of the hallways, had taken pleasure in her vulnerability. Today, however, the tables would turn. As she faced the crowd, Zara took a steady breath, feeling the weight of their eyes, some curious, others judgmental. She exuded calm, a quiet confidence. As she prepared to unveil the truth, the boys sauntered in, smirking, positioned at the far side like kings on their thrones. Zara could feel their mocking energy radiate from across the gym, but her heart was resolute. With a swift motion, she began her demonstration. Each practiced jab and fluid kick displayed not just her martial arts prowess, but her indomitable spirit. Gasps and applause erupted from the audience. Tyler's smirk slowly faded, replaced by a frown as Zara transitioned seamlessly into her speech. While I train here, the very lives of those privileged enough to afford this school were dissecting my worth. Her voice resonated, commanding every ear. But let's talk about the real fighters. With a click of a button, a video displayed on the large screen began to roll. Footage of their bullying. The crowd collectively inhaled as the images flashed. Insults, graffiti, raw and cruel acts that had stalked her daily. Tyler's face paled, his bravado cracking as he caught his mother's horrified gaze. Jake fidgeted, suddenly stripped of his bravado, while Brandon looked desperately to escape the spotlight. Zara continued, her documentation of their cruelty laid bare for all to see. The world will remember who bullied, who stood by, and who decided to take action. Silence enveloped the gym as she laid down the final counts of their consequences, potential expulsion and disciplinary hearings. The audience shifted their focus from the watchful bullies to Zara, who stood tall, her heart pounding but unyielding. As a crowd erupted into applause, it was clear. Zara wasn't just a victim anymore. She had emerged as a leader. The bullies' heads hung low, faces flushed with embarrassment. Tyler, once untouchable, stuttered a half-hearted apology through clenched teeth. In that moment, Zara felt the profound weight of justice, not through vengeance, but empowerment. She walked off that mat surrounded by students cheering her name, her silent triumph echoing through the hallways of Lincoln Academy. Humiliation had unraveled the bullies, while Zara's strength and grace began to weave a new tapestry of courage and respect. As for the boys, their paths now were forever altered, reflective of their actions, where lessons came hard and pride lay shattered. As I stood at the edge of the mat, the weight of the past weeks washed over me, each taunt, each snicker hidden behind the guise of privilege. I never expected to find my strength in a place like Lincoln Academy, with its air of superiority. Yet there I was, transformed by the very experiences designed to break me. I looked out at the sea of faces, some familiar, others foreign. Justice feels different when you wield it yourself, doesn't it? The bullies who once tormented me now stood before me, humbled, desperate for understanding. Their cries for forgiveness echoed in a way I hadn't anticipated. I learned that even the strongest can falter, and even the weakest can rise. But in reflecting on this moment, I can't help but wonder, went too far? Thoughts below and tell me your stories. Have you ever faced a similar injustice? How did you choose to respond? Let's engage in a dialogue around justice and power, because every voice matters.